Hello, everybody. Carlos Toro here. I'm joined on the line over Zoom by the former IBF super middleweight champion Caleb Truax, who's going to be facing Caleb Plant January 30 on Fox, and what my friends would call this the Battle of the Calebs. Caleb Truax, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. Thanks for asking.
You know, this fight, obviously, it's a under a lot of unique circumstances with the pandemic, and obviously not the ideal conditions per se to start. But how has sort of been the training? Obviously, training in Minnesota with all with the cold and the winter. How has that training been, especially under this COVID-19 era that we're currently living in?
The trainings went really well. We had to make a few adjustments over the last 6 or 8 weeks or so, just because of Minnesota's had some COVID restrictions as far as gyms being open, and thankfully my boxing gym is more private than public, so I've had access to that, and just me and my trainer and my sparring partners have been in the gym until just a couple weeks ago. But we've had to make some adjustments. But overall, everything's been good, man. Just like I said a little bit earlier, we've had a mild winter, so I've been able to get my road work in outside without freezing my butt off too bad. So nothing wrong with that.
So, obviously, with the you just mentioned, you did a lot of road work. Has it been easier, or how different is it doing road work and training in a cold climate like Minnesota, say, versus say, if you were to do a training camp in a warmer climate? Because I know a lot of boxers kind of prefer that warmer environment when preparing for a fight.
I like it, man. I just bundle up when I'm running. I run. Sometimes I run when it's 0 degrees outside.
Oh man.
It doesn't really bother me too much. But like I said, this winter's been mild. Like today, I ran 3 miles, and it was, or this morning I ran 3 miles, and it was about 15 degrees and a little bit of wind. So just wear a face mask and bundle up and get a good sweat in, man. But it doesn't bother me, man. I've trained in California. I've trained in Las Vegas. I prefer home, man. Even though it's a little bit cold sometimes, when it gets below zero, then that's a different story. But then I got to go run on the treadmill somewhere. But I don't mind it at all, man. I'm used to it, and wouldn't have it any other way.
So obviously, Caleb Plant is regarded by many, by a lot of people, as one of, if not the best super middleweight in the world today. And obviously, this has been a journey, a long journey for you to get back into the title picture and to get another title fight since the rematch against James DeGale. How much was there kind of a point that obviously, especially during this pandemic, did you think that maybe this title opportunity was not gonna happen? Did you think that maybe just the universe was not working in your favor because you weren't getting fights so easily during the pandemic, and with the politics of boxing sometimes kind of gets in the way of a lot of people's chances of fighting for a title?
Yeah, yeah. I was confident I was going to get back into position to fight for a title. I was confident I was going to work my way back. I didn't expect it to be this quickly. Actually, I thought I was going to have to win a fight or two to get back in position to fight for a title. So I'm fortunate and grateful that PBC and Al Heyman and my guy Tony Gregelko were able to get me back in this position to fight for the title that I had, the IBF title, so quickly. But I'm a stick to it type of guy, and was just been grinding the last couple of years, even through the disappointment of having to withdraw and having an injury and having cuts. I still grind every day and still get my work in, and have my eyes on the prizes, if you want to say that, as far as winning my title back. And like I said, I'm fortunate to have got here a little bit earlier than I expected, but grateful at the same time.
Has it been tough, especially with pulling out of fights because of injury? The way that Peter Quillen fight ended, just in a manner that I think no one really wanted kind of to see. And then the pandemic, how tough was it for you to just kind of wait and wait, not just getting a title shot, but just kind of getting a big fight in general?
It was frustrating, man. I've been fortunate to have a long career in boxing. You know, I think this is my almost 14 years, I believe, or yeah, 14 years that I've been fighting as a pro, and so I'm fortunate in that sense. But I've always been lucky to avoid injury and stay pretty active my whole career up until these last 2 years. So it was something that I wasn't used to. So that took some time to assess what was going on and adjust to it. So it was frustrating. You know, I had my first major injury in 14 years with Achilles injury in 2019. So that was a setback. It took me about 8 months to fully recover from that. But like I said, I just kept my head down and kept on working and stayed confident in my ability. And despite the frustrations, I still just pushed on through.
You know, obviously you're no stranger to being the underdog. You were a big underdog in the first fight against James DeGale, and you beat James to win the IBF title. And it's certainly not that different as far as you being the underdog against Caleb Plant. How do you sort of look at this fight, sort of being the underdog, having that mentality versus a few years back when you were going up against James DeGale? Has it changed at all? Has your sort of preparation or the mental aspect of things heading into a fight like this changed between then and now?
You know, I embrace the underdog role. I've been underdog basically my whole career. You know, being from Minnesota, we kind of get licked over in the boxing world, and so I'm used to being an underdog. I've always beat the odds in the past, and look forward to doing so again on the 30th. But you know, nothing's really changed as far as preparation. I see a lot of the same similarities going into this fight as I did with the first James DeGale fight, as far as, you know, everyone counting me out and saying that it's basically a tune-up fight for Plant to get to Canelo or Benavidez, and that's the same mistake that James DeGale made, I believe, in the first fight and overlooked me. And that just motivates me, man. Every time I see somebody write that I don't belong in this fight, and he's gonna walk over me just to get to a different fighter. That motivates me, and that's the role that I do best in. I perform best when everybody's doubting me. So I look forward to proving everyone wrong.
So those talks of, you know, Caleb Plant and Canelo or David Benavidez, do those talks kind of bother you at all? Do you just kind of brush it off?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It motivates me. Every time I hear it, I get a little pissed off. You know, like he's got to fight in 2 weeks with me. So when people talk about what's next for him past me, they're assuming that he gets by me, and that motivates me. It irks me and drives me to be at my best.
You know, Caleb Plant, obviously a very good boxer, and I'm even kind of describing as a bit of a buzzsaw when you kind of look at his more recent fights. In your eyes, what does Caleb Plant do very, very well, and how do you sort of plan and game plan against a guy like Caleb Plant to sort of negate what he does so well inside the ring?
I think he's a really good boxer. He's got good ring IQ. He's got good speed and a good jab, and he throws combinations really well, fluid combinations. So it's a tall ask for anyone to step in there with him, and I believe that I'm the man to derail his 20 fight win streak or whatever it's at. And you know, my experience and my pressure and my determination is what has gotten me this far, and that's what's gonna bring me to another a two-time world champion when I fight him on the 30th.
You know, when you sort of take into account the last few years of your career since the fight against James DeGale, if you do beat Caleb Plant and become a two-time champion, will this win be sweeter than the win against James DeGale a few years back when you first won the world title?
The one with DeGale was sweet for sure, but this one, you know, at the spot I'm at in my career, you know, I'm getting towards the end of my career. I think this one will be sweeter, you know, especially to win back the title that I once had, and kind of cement my legacy as a two-time champ, and get a big money fight possibly next. So I think this one would be pretty sweet.
When you look at sort of everything in your career and heading into this fight, do you kind of look at this with the mindset of this is my last chance at fighting for a world title? Obviously, the super middleweight division has gotten, deeper in recent years with so many younger stars coming up in the division and looking to make a name for themselves. And you, a veteran who you mentioned 14 years, do you kind of view this as that last chance at fighting for a title?
That's how I've been approaching it. As I said earlier, I didn't think I was going to be able to get back into a title fight so soon. I thought I'd have to work my way up again with a couple of victories. And now that we're here, I'm approaching it as it's my last big shot at fighting for a title. So I want to leave everything in the ring and make the most of this shot for sure.
Before we kind of end things off, I do actually want to ask about the 8 count IPA that you made with Lupulin Brewing, if I get it correctly. So talk to me about that. That's certainly something I don't see a lot of boxers kind of go into the beer business, and I'm certainly very interested to sort of hear that whole story.
Yeah, Lupulin Brewing is a local brewery. It's been around for about 5 or 6 years, and it's just like 20 minutes away from my house. And they've been a sponsor of mine for I think about 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years before, even before I won my title against DeGale. And they've always been on my trunks, and I've thrown some after fight parties at their tap room and brewery, and I've had a good relationship with them and the owner, and got to know them as they started out and kind of grew with them. And they were a sponsor and on my trunks. And the next step was to make a collaboration beer. So I'm lucky, and it turned out great. And it's an IPA. Boxing and beer go hand in hand, and everybody seems to like it. And it's actually in Ohio. I believe it's in Cleveland. You can find it in stores in Cleveland right now too. So you have to go out and try to find some.
I mean, I'll admit, I'm not much of an IPA guy, but I've had friends tell me that they very, very much like it. So I'm going to take their recommendations on it. I will certainly get one and try it out for myself. But, is that kind of one of the things where you kind of look at just the whole thing and think to yourself, this could be just one of several ventures that maybe you can embark on, when you hang up your gloves and kind of go into that post-fight career where, fighters can engage in a number of different business ventures. Is that perhaps one thing that you might be looking at when it comes to, after retirement?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to keep this partnership with Lupulin going as long as possible. And I'm gonna have a tough time finding something after boxing that I'm as passionate about as boxing. So beer is one of them, I guess. One of the things that I enjoy, and outside of my career, and fishing, and just try to find something that I like to do. As much as it's gonna be tough, but as much as I enjoy being in the sport of boxing, so I'm always looking for stuff like that to keep me busy outside of the ring, and provide for my family at the same time.
I'm sure there will be no shortage of things to do for you after boxing is done. Before we kind of end things up, do you sort of have a prediction or any parting words for those watching, and for Caleb Plant, as you are now less than 2 weeks before you have a chance to become a two-time world champion?
Yeah, I'm not big on predictions, man. I just go out there and give my fans the best fight possible and work as hard as I can. And I always think I'm going to win, obviously, but I'm not big on calling the round or the way it's going to happen. So just thanks to all my fans that have followed me throughout the years. And on January 30th, I'm going to give you one more thing to cheer about. That's for sure.
Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truax, January 30 for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship. Caleb, thanks so much for taking time to talk to me. Best of luck in your fight, and I will certainly keep an eye out for the 8 count IPA, and certainly have my and judge it how it is. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like it.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for having me.